Fortenberry, would you like to make an opening statement? And if so, I recognize you for that purpose.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for recognizing me. I apologize for my tardiness. If you knew where I was, though, I think you would be happy by the distraction. It was at a meeting on conservation. Let me just truncate my opening remarks. I want to tell you all three things. Conservation is development. Sustainability is good business. And stewardship is a noble value. And what we have in our society, what we have in our economy, what we have in our agricultural policies is an alignment of these three variables. That sustainability can be good business when thoughtfully developed in harmony with other needed outcomes of the economy. That the value of stewardship is something that unites and does not divide. And that all of this can actually be a new way to think of the term development. It's not just building more and more, it's using what you have in a responsible manner, which actually creates the opportunity for enhanced income, well-being, and longevity of the very practice, whether it be a farm or a business. And so this is a very important discussion. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a bit of an aside, several years ago, I undertook a project. It's a little bit remote from the considerations here, but it's related to this idea of stewardship. It got hot in Nebraska, and I turned the air conditioner on, and it didn't work. So I called the repairman after I did what I could do in lay terms, and he opened it up, and there was a mouse that had gotten in there and chewed the wires. So he replaced the capacitor, turned it back on, and it started to smoke. The capacitor, not the mouse. And he said, "Jeff, just sorry, it's done." So, okay, that's $3,000. I started to think through this. I'm highly interested in the whole concept of distributed energy generation, which is a component, an emerging field, actually, in agricultural production. And so I began to look at the financial dynamics of installing a geothermal system. And it's complicated, but after having worked with the HVAC company, having used the federal tax credit, having leveraged the energy loan program in my own state, having gotten a rebate back from the manufacturer, and having gotten a certain subsidy from my own utility, the financial package made enough sense for me to tip that balance. I wanted to do it anyway because of the example it sets of moving toward a more sustainable future, energy future, but we went ahead and did it. Now, the payout is a bit longer than I perhaps would have liked, but nonetheless, I'll probably get 20 years of cost-free energy from that once the initial capital is paid off. Again, there are barriers to entry here, but if we can overcome them through smart public policy and certain subsidies when necessary where there is not a market dynamic that can sustain this, but the larger externality costs certainly justify it, where there are young new generations of people who are actually expanding the agricultural family. I come from production ag state, and that's the backbone of who we are. We help feed America and feed the world, and we're very proud of that. There's a lot of young people who may never have access to a 1,000-acre grain production facility because they just don't have the land or the capital, but they're starting to do niche markets, organic farming, farm to table, participating in farmers markets, being employed elsewhere but doing this on the side. This is exciting news, and the Department of Agriculture's program, or the agricultural programs at the University of Nebraska, are growing because there is a convergence of fields: conservation, international development, environmental security and stewardship programs, along with traditional agronomy and animal husbandry and other programming elements. So I think this is actually a very exciting time to discuss all of these things, Mr. Chairman, and I really wish we could get beyond getting into political lanes when we are confronted with the hard realities of extreme weather events and the reasons for those, and actually look toward the solutions that move us toward a sustainable energy future that reduces our overdependence on hydrocarbons to run our economy and looks for the harmonious balance of sustainable development that you talked about, Jason. By the way, Derek Kilmer, Congressman Kilmer from Washington State, I think could be your brother. You look very, very much alike.
Yeah.
But do you agree with that? Does the panel agree? Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry to divert like that, but I'm looking at you and thinking that at the same time. Yes. So actually, instead of all of what we're talking about being somehow reasons for divisiveness, is actually reasons for consensus. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fortenberry.